This is the Pain Train Preston Quinn, one half of the Extreme Horsemen. And when I want to hear music and entertainment, I come right here. You're listening to On the Fly with Stevie and Warden.
You are listening to On the Fly.
What's up, guys? On the Fly is back again. Last night we had Mr. Flint Adams with us. We had a great time with Flint. Thanks to Nicole again from Brick Show Media for getting us. And guess what? Nicole has sent me another great artist up here tonight with me tonight. Straight out of Georgia.
Yes,
Georgia
sir.
Bulldog.
Yeah.
Get you Alabama Crimson Tide folks. National champions, Georgia Bulldog. With me tonight is Christian country musician, Mr. Michael Lee. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Man, doing great. Thank y'all so much for having me out this evening.
Hey, dude, anytime, you know, Nicole sends you over here. If Nicole says you're all right with me. And plus, you're in SEC country and you're not an Alabama fan, so I'll probably make some people mad right there. But
Hey.
Who cares? So, first of all, thank you for being on here. It's an honor to have you on. I've been listening to a lot of your stuff. Sat there last night and for the second time went all the way through Tattoos, the album. And you know, there's I've got about four that stood out, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But you've got we'll talk about your new single, which you're a re-release single that you pushed up.
Yes, sir.
Ain't that just like Jesus? Which you guys, I'm telling you, the first time I heard it, it'll bring chills to you. I promise you. And and it's something special that you wanted to release it a little bit earlier for, and we're going to talk about that when we get to that.
Yes,
and man, this day and time with the way this world is, a song like that, just like I told Flint last night about his song, the message that song sends needs to get out there. And it's definitely a powerful message. And you guys, when you hear it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. Growing up in Georgia, you told me earlier your daddy had you wearing nothing but Georgia Bulldog stuff. Man. Wintertime, summertime, whatever.
I come out of the womb with Ugga on me, son. Couldn't help it.
So big football fans, huh?
Yeah, man. Big football family. And it's wild, dude. I'm up in the northwest corner of Georgia.
Right.
I'm about, you ever heard of Rome, Georgia?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
35 minutes north of Rome and about 35 minutes, 40 minutes south of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So I'm up in the very northwest corner.
I may be wrong, but
yeah.
But Rome, gosh, man, I hope I'm not wrong when I say this. I'm a big wrestling fan, professional wrestling fan. Arn Anderson.
Yes.
A, one of my favorites of all time. Isn't he from around Rome?
He is. He's from Lindale. Man, my dad, it's crazy. My dad was a professional wrestler, and he used to wrestle with Arn.
Sure. Really?
My dad traveled with the NWA. And
what was his name? What was his wrestling name?
Mike Starbuck. He went by Mike Starbuck, and he was my dad was a professional wrestler. Man, the whole time I was growing up, man, I remember watching my dad wrestle the Road Warriors on TV.
Oh wow! Now how did you feel as a kid though, watching your dad tangle with those guys though?
Oh, he got the crap beat out of him. I mean, it is.
Whenever you heard Iron Man start playing, I remember those guys on TV. As soon as you hear that,
I was scared to death of the Road Warriors.
A lot of kids were, but a lot of kids were, and I can't imagine
watching them.
Imagine the stories your dad had about being in the ring with those two guys, especially.
He has stories about him and Arn Anderson, Anderson. You know, he wrestled with Flair. He's got stories about him and Dr. Death Steve Williams. You know, he had
Dude, you're right up my alley.
Grew up them,
This is
son.
my
Yeah.
brother from another mother right here.
I backstage and hang out with Bullet Bob Armstrong and
Oh
Brad,
yeah, Brad.
little fella, man. Yeah, man, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Brad, I'll tell you this, and I'll say this to anybody. You know, I've talked to a lot of wrestling fans. Brad was probably the most underrated wrestler ever. The only thing that held Brad back was when he got on the microphone. Exactly. You knew exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
His brother. Now, if he had
Road Dog.
Road Dogs, if he had his ability to talk, good gosh, Brad Armstrong would have won every belt it was.
Oh, he would have had all of it. And my cousin, my older cousin, my dad trained him how to wrestle. And he went in. Now my cousin David, he could have really been big in it, but he was smaller. He was about 6 foot, 6'1", but he was kind of smaller. And man, he was doing the flips and stuff before Rey Mysterio and all them came along.
He was wrestling for NWA too?
No, he didn't wrestle
He didn't make it to that.
Closed by then. It was
Right. Oh yeah, okay.
W. But my cousin David, man, he just, man, he was good and he knew he was good, but he just had that little doubt like he wasn't big enough, and he could have been something amazing too.
Well,
man.
that day and time, the little guys, they didn't push the little guys, but if he had come along about right now, yeah, he would. Yeah.
Yeah, he was amazing.
He would have been big.
Yeah.
So
But you never know, man.
you never know. You're right. You never know. So growing up, we talked about the Georgia Bulldogs and the wrestling. So now, as far as music goes, what were you listening to as a kid? What do you remember listening to as a kid?
Well, I grew up. See, my granddaddy. The reason my granddaddy and all my great uncles, I got a picture on the wall of them from the '60s. Man, they had a band. They sang. I was around country music my whole life.
Right.
And my mom and dad were children of the '70s, so they were rockers. So I had my granddaddy doing George Jones and Merle Haggard and Hank Williams, and then my mom and dad's listening to people like Led Zeppelin and Bonnie Raitt and people like that. But then when my mom and dad, when I was little, they got in church and they had a gospel group, and man, I grew up listening to like the Hensons, the Paynes, the Rambos, people like that. And so, man, I just got a bunch of different influences, man, from traditional country to some rock and Southern rock with like people like that, straight into Southern gospel, man. It's just a mash of all of it.
Just mashed up.
I mean, yeah, I grew up into a little bit of everything.
We got our first comment of the night, and you might know this guy, Mr. Wade Quick. Hey boys, Wade will be with us next week. Wade is going to come on the show next week, so looking forward to that. And Wade, I believe we talked a little bit about Wade last night. I think
it did.
Yeah, I think that was the song, Flint's new song, and he was about to get in trouble by playing it because he kept saying, "Wade, don't hurt me if I play this song."
Is it the one him and Wade wrote together?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I've heard it. The president at PLA in Nashville played it for me. It's an amazing.
I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait. I did get the title out of it, but I didn't hear anything out of it. I promise you, Wade, he did not play anything of it. So
Evan, is that the one it is?
That's it.
Oh. Hey,
I can't wait to hear it. And maybe next week, Wade will give us a little tidbit of it.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man.
So you grew up, I guess you started kind of early getting into the music. When you remember what age you started really getting into the music?
Yeah, I remember telling my dad I wanted to start trying to sing and start learning the guitar when I was about 14. And I started singing in church and started, just when I first started, I started playing with like soundtracks and stuff like that. And then I got good enough on the guitar to fake my way through that and started playing the guitar out. And so I started singing in church and with my mom and dad in church when I was about 14. And then when I turned 17, I started writing songs about 15, when I was around 15, 16 years old. When I was 17, I started going out playing in nightclubs. I wasn't even old enough to get in, but they were letting me come in. No, my dad would have to go with me because I couldn't
Right.
get in because I wasn't even 18. But when somebody offers you $150 to come into
I'm right.
music, you know, at 17 years old, that's pretty enticing, man. And I had a ball, dude.
Yeah. So tell us how there's a famous name out there that comes in the picture. Tell us how you got the attention of Wilbur Rhymes, who's Leanne Rhymes' dad.
Oh, well, I was part of a duo. Good friend of mine from here in my hometown named Derry Maddox. Me and him was playing around. Actually, my cousin I was talking about, that was the wrestler.
Uh-huh.
Him and Derry were best friends all the way through school. And I got to meet Derry through my cousin David. And we started singing together a little bit, started trying to write some songs. And man, we'd show up out in a hayfield on his family's farm. We'd go out there and put a little party together. And honestly, dude, they'd be 300 people show up in a cornfield or in a hayfield. Wow. And just to hear me and him with guitars. And then we got a band, and our band was unbelievable, man. They were so good. Duke's Derry. We started everybody called me Little Starbuck because my daddy's wrestling name.
Right, I got you.
It got shortened to Buck, and then everybody called him Duke. So everybody would just say, "Hey, man, we're gonna go see Buck and Duke sing tonight." And there we had the duo. So actually, Derry's dad, he got to be friends with Wilbur.
Okay.
He come out to a dove shoot one time out in that field, and there's about 300 people showed up to hear me and Duke sing. And we started singing songs that we had written.
Right.
And it grabbed his attention. And not only did that grab his attention, but when you're in a town with one red light and 300 people show up to hear two guys sing, that made him go, whoa, something's up here.
Something's going on.
Tyler, Texas, and recorded a 3-song demo for Curve Records.
Uh-huh.
Man, just a lot of cool things happened after that.
I'm sure that. So you talk a little bit. It's one thing that I've got like the ultimate respect for, and I've told the story so many times up here talking to all these people that are musicians, songwriting. Look, I told this story. I sat down one day. It's been 7 years ago, and I said, it just hit me. I just wrote the lyrics down for something about how me and my wife met and all this stuff through our life and all that. So for our 20th anniversary, I got a friend of mine who's a singer. He spent some time in Nashville. Actually, a guy I played football against in high school. I sent him the lyrics and said, look, I want to make this a song and give it to my wife for our 20th anniversary. And he was like, okay. And I know he was thinking, okay, yeah, whatever and all that. I was like, anything you got to change, I know it's probably hard, but anything you got to change, please do. Just let me know. And he said, man, this is perfect. He said, if you gave me 10 more like this, you'd have a good country album. Yes. And of course, my head blew up like, oh, I can do this, boy. No. After that, bud, I ain't wrote one since. But yeah, songwriting, I had the ultimate respect for you guys that can put them out like that. As far as like writing goes, I know we talked to Flint last night. He said each time he does it, it's a different process for him. What kind of process do you go through when you write a song?
Man, the way they come to you sometimes, you might be talking to somebody and them say something and it just trigger an idea. And you start writing from that. Or, just sitting around playing guitar or something, you might strum a chord pattern that might be a little bit different and, come up with something and start feeding lines to it and beat it around a bit. And it just comes different ways, man. Songs are born different ways. Sometimes you get a melody and it'll pop in. Sometimes you get a lyric, it'll pop in. And then sometimes somebody will say something and it'll grab your attention, like the song Tattoos right. On that album. Man, the whole way, I tell everybody I'm a little bit ADD. And if you say something that triggers something in my mind, I'm either going to start writing a song or something else about it. And I was talking to a lady at showcase in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. We was doing a Christian country showcase, and I sang. She was a DJ, and I sang her a song that I was getting ready to record on that album called "Where Grace Had to Start." I had just wrote it, and when we were singing it, we got to just talking about the grace of God and how amazing it was, and what people really don't understand that means, how it's bought and paid for, and he loves us, and how we can beat ourselves up about things. And she started telling me this story about this young lady that sang in a group. Said she had the word faith tattooed on her forearm right here, and said that they were singing somewhere, and she seen her put makeup on that tattoo, and she went over and asked her what she was doing, and she said, well, when we go out here, I don't want them people judging me. And when she said that, man, the Holy Spirit spoke to me, and she stuck somewhere between the tattoos and the truth of who.
Wow.
And when she said that,
it hit you.
My head, and I said, hold on a second. I pulled my phone out. I typed it out. And she said, what is it? I said, I got a song. Come home, started writing a song, got to a point I was like, I could have kept going, but it wouldn't have been as good as I actually called Derry, the guy that I used to do the country music with, and told him about it. And me and him wrote that. And that was the first song me and him had written together in like 4 years.
Wow.
And so
I'm telling you guys, that album, that song, like I said, that was the second time, because usually the first time I listen to something, I'm like, okay, but if it hits me the second time, then I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. And then that's one of the four that really stood out off that album to me. Tattooed was freaking awesome.
Thank you.
So we talked a little bit about football before we came on there. You were a high school football player, had the chance to play at the next level, but injuries kind of prevented you from that. But you also said you decided, I want to go to Nashville. Making that decision, making that jump to Nashville, how hard was that for you?
For me, it wasn't hard. Because it was
you knew what you wanted to do.
It was what I wanted to do. Now, when I remember, like it was yesterday, telling my daddy. Now, when I went to my daddy, and I said, you know what, man, I don't even think I want to play. I don't think I want to do it. And he said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, man, I think I want to go to Nashville and do this singing thing. And I said, so, what do you think? And he said, well, you're going to work. He said, you will work. I
knew that was coming.
So, yeah, man, he kept me. And I remember went to Nashville, had to come back home. Me and my wife have been married for 24 years now. We got married really young, basically out of high school. And God gave me a great woman. And we tried to move to Nashville again. And I went and talked to my dad before, because he was a foreman for a tree company that contracts for a power company and, trims trees for the power company.
Right.
Dad, I'm going to Nashville again. If it don't pan out and I run out of money, will you put me to work? And he said, well, yeah, I done told you one time, you're going to be working. And if I got to do, it's going to happen. So, but you know what, man, God's took care of us. I've met a lot of people. I've made a lot of friends. I've got a lot of people that have believed in me and what I do, that have been supportive in more ways than one. And man, we've been took care of, and I can't complain one bit about the journey God's put me on, man.
Right. And everything happens for a reason. I believe that he does it that way. And I said it last night to Flint, everything happens for a reason. So now you're in Nashville, you're trying to get out there. So then COVID comes on. How bad did COVID affect you?
Man, it hit us pretty hard. We were in the studio recording a 7-song EP with Dana Williams and Micah Dana Williams from Diamond Rio,
right?
Founding member, and Micah Swinesburg, my producers on it. We went in the studio March the 4th, I think it was.
That was about
20. Cut the songs, got everything tracked. The next week, the whole world shut down.
Yep.
And what should have taken 2 months to finish wound up being about an 8 or 9 month deal, if not longer. But it didn't matter. I mean, because there was nowhere to go play anyway. No one was open. You know, there was places that everybody was doing virtual stuff, and so I've been full time music again since 2017. So I was going really strong there for 3 years, and then it hit us in the mouth, man. But I'm still, God has provided, and He provided through that time, and I'm still able to do it today. So
that's awesome.
it put some things that I wanted to do on hold, but man, ultimately we got it done. It gave them a little bit more time to fine tune things and listen to them. And that EP, it's on social media and on iTunes and Spotify and YouTube. It's called Backdated. It's pretty good too. Now it's straight up country. And
yeah, I've got to check that out. Like I said, I listened to Tattoos, but you had like Keep On Living and Change Is Overrated.
Yep.
Those were two big hits for you on the radio. How did it feel to? Let me ask you, how did it feel the first time going in the studio recording?
Nerve-wracking.
I can't imagine.
First time I did, I think I was 20, and went into a little studio with my dad took me, and went in and learned a little bit about what you do and you don't do. But what really was crazy was when Wilbur took us to Texas, and we went to a real deal studio where mega hits have been produced in front of people, and you're sitting there going, so many good songs cut here, and these guys are legit, and you're like, oh man. But it brings something out of you, man. I'll tell you what I tell everybody, man. When people ask me what it's like, or if they want to start doing it, they'll say, man, what do you do? How do you do this? And my advice to everybody is, if you can't feel it, then the people you're singing to is not going to feel it. When you go into a studio or you stand on a stage anywhere, if you don't feel what you're doing, nobody else will. You got to let it relate to you. And that's in a studio or on a stage. It doesn't matter. You got to sell it everywhere you go.
Exactly. I mean, if the last thing I want to do is see somebody up there, it looks like they're going through the motions, and but
yeah.
Let's talk about Ain't That Just Like Jesus?
Yes, sir.
Talk about how did this song come about?
Man, honestly, I was on Facebook one night, and it was right after one of the police shootings, and we had a lot of the riots and the kind of when the racial tension started breaking out. And one of my brothers, really good friends, a young African-American guy, I was on Facebook with one night, and I seen something he posted. I'm not going to say his name because he's a really good guy. He's just a little bit confused at the time, in my opinion. I'm not trying to be political. But he made a statement, and he said, I don't worship the white Jesus, and I never will. And I commented, and I said, little brother, I said, Jesus himself said that God is a spirit. Those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And I said, I really don't think that color's got anything to do with it or race.
Amen.
And I told him that. He was like, yeah, but, and I said, I understand, man. And I said, but the last time I checked, Jesus said, whosoever will come, let them come. And I said, it don't matter if you black, if you white, if you red, if you yellow, if you green, if you orange, if you purple, Jesus died for everybody. And I'm a fan of that. He's my savior, and he can be yours too, no matter what color or race you are. And I sat down after we had that conversation, man, and that song just poured out of me. And that's awesome. Exactly where the song came from.
Yeah. Mr. Flint has made his appearance in there. He just said, amen. Amen to which, right. Flint's the man.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. But guess what? Flint's a Tennessee fan.
Man, there's still hope for him, man. We'll pray that God delivers him.
He talked about y'all last night. He said, Georgia boys. We got some Georgia boys coming. So, and talk about, this was released a while back, but you were going to re-release it. You were going to do it a little bit later, but you pushed up the re-release date because of something that happened. Talk a little bit about that.
I didn't push it up.
Oh, okay. You didn't. Okay.
And when the school shooting happened in Nashville,
Right.
tragedy,
Yeah.
when that happened, Randy, president of the label, called me and he said, buddy, he said, I really feel strongly about this. He said, I think we need to push this song up because I think it's something people need to hear. And
Exactly.
I said, brother, if that's what you want to do, I said, you the man with a plan, go for it. And he said, but there's something else I want to talk to you about. And he said, me personally, with the label releasing it, having the rights to everything to release the song, he said, how would you feel for the first 1,000 copies sold go to Victims First and another big charity in Nashville to help the victims of the school shooting? He said, and then after every 1,000, a portion of the proceeds go to it still. And I said, man, I'm all about it. Ain't that Jesus?
Ain't that just like this? Exactly like the song said. Ain't
And
that just like Jesus?
the least of me, you've done them for me. That's what he said. And you know what, man? There's a whole lot more to life than money. And if he used that to bless these people, to get them things that they need to help them, man, that's what we're here for. And when he told me what he wanted to do, I backed his play 100%, man.
Definitely. And that's awesome. You don't see enough, or you don't hear enough about stuff like that.
Right.
And I know that's not something you want drawn attention to you for it, but
and it wasn't my idea.
Yeah, but still that's just awesome.
Yeah, I agreed with it 100%, man. And so yeah, that's what's up with that, man. But it's a song for this time, man. I mean, that if you listen to that song, it's about healing. It's about us all coming together and helping the greater cause, which is, loving everybody, man.
And there's not enough of that right now.
That's what's going to change things. Not changing laws, not changing this, changing hearts. That's the ticket.
I agree totally. And so, guys, if you want to check this out, it's on any streaming out there. It's Spotify, Apple, wherever you stream your music from, you can check it out. Also, go back and check out that Tattoos album because there's 4 songs. Everybody loves a comeback.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh, I think I like that one more than any of them up there because that hit me.
Write that one. I didn't even write that one, and I passed on it twice. My producer brought it to me too, and I said, "No, man." And I'll be honest, because I wanted to write another one.
Right.
A couple more in my pocket. I wanted this to be more me. And he said, "Man, will you please just listen to it one more time?" And I listened to it. And I was like, "Man, it's a great song." And if you think about where it starts off talking about a football player.
Exactly.
And
that's why it reeled me in.
You know what changed my mind about it? Nick Chubb.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
When he got hurt at Tennessee.
Yeah.
And looked so bad. It's like, man, he ain't never probably going to play football. And then he came back and had the biggest game of his life less than a year later. And I was like, yeah, I'm recording it because that's exactly what the song's talking about.
Yep.
Exactly. Honestly, that was the selling point on that song for me.
And unfortunately, Nick Chubb plays for Cleveland. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so as much as but you know what? As much as I don't want to like Nick Chubb, I can't help but like it. That guy. That guy runs hard. He plays hard, and you don't hear any of his mouth. That's what he's
a football son.
He's like, I'll tell you what, he's like Barry Sanders used to be. Barry Sanders, when he would score a touchdown, hand the ball to the referee, go about his business.
Yes, sir.
So I don't. Even though he's wearing that Cleveland Brown color, I can deal with Nick Chubb.
Yeah. Got that song for sure.
And then Near You with Rhonda Vincent.
Yep.
That was another one, and Run to Jesus.
Yeah.
That were the 4 that really stood out of that Tattoos album. And I'll be checking out more your back catalog as well now, especially what you've been telling me about. So before we get to what's going to happen in the future for you, there's a little segment we like to do here. And Now Flint handled it well.
Okay.
I've got some quick hitting questions.
Oh no.
Well, that's what most of them say. Now,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this: one of the questions, him and Noel Tolan are the only two that have been able to pop it out right there. But a lot of them would just go, "Oh gosh, let me think." So you just let me know when you're ready. Get your mind clear. Let me know when you're ready.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Favorite album of all time?
REO Speedwagon, High Infidelity.
Wow, that's what I like. I like some REO Speedwagon. Favorite food?
Steak.
I'm telling you, brother from another mother, right here. Favorite artist or band?
Favorite artist or band? It would be a toss up, honestly, between George Jones and Merle Haggard. Really, that's my
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke all day. I'm from Georgia, son.
Well, Carolina's got more Pepsi down here now.
Maybe got deliver y'all too.
First CD you remember buying?
George Strait, Out of the Box, the whole box set.
Box set.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about George Strait. Favorite sport? I know the answer to this.
George Strait fan.
Favorite sport?
Football.
I knew the answer to that already. First concert you went to?
The Hensons.
Okay.
Southern Gospel Group.
Got you. Favorite TV show?
This is old school now.
Go ahead. I'm an old school guy.
The Sopranos.
Nothing wrong with that. That ain't that old school. Come on now.
But I mean,
it's been a while. It's been a while, but look, I'm getting ready to turn 50 this year, so that ain't that long.
And a lot of y'all can't watch The Sopranos until you get old enough to watch it. So there was some bad stuff. I'm a big mafia guy. I love that.
Okay, so you like the Godfather. You know, I'll tell you this.
Be the Godfather. Yeah.
You know, and I'll probably catch the devil for this, but until this year, I'd never watched The Godfather all the way through. And still have not seen Godfather 2.
I'll tell you like this, man. On my iPad right now, I have 5 movies downloaded on it. Like when I travel, if I'm flying,
right.
I got all 3 Godfathers. I got Tombstone and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That's it.
Oh yeah.
So I'm a variety of things here.
Yeah, but I got you. So if you had the chance to collaborate with any artist alive or passed away, who would it be?
Like sing or write songs?
Right, sing.
You know what? I'd love to write with King David, the guy that wrote the Psalms.
Okay.
You know why?
That's a good answer.
It's that he was a man after God's own heart, and the things that he done, the way he felt and stuff like that. I'd love to sit down and write a song with him, so I could see what that heart was like.
I like that.
Or Keith Whitley. I'd love Keith Whitley too.
Yeah, Keith Whitley was awesome. Favorite song? If you're like me, it changes week by week.
Honestly, The Blues Man by Hank Jr. Okay. And I'll tell you why. It's because I lived every word of it. And I tell people that I do it live. And man, I got a good wife that has loved me unconditionally. And that's what that song's talking about. And I tell people I probably would have wrote that song, but Bo Cephas beat me to it. I'd lived everything it talks about, brother.
I hear you. Pineapple on pizza.
If I'm hungry enough.
I hear you there. And I know what the answer is going to be to this, probably. You kind of favorite movie?
The Godfather.
See, you did good. You did good with it. You didn't have any where you had to sit and think about it. So tell us where we can find Michael Lee online. I mean, if I'm sure you're on all social media, but tell us where we can find you.
Man, my website is www.michaelleetunes.com, and every social media site that you have, look up Michael Lee Tunes, and that's me.
Make sure you guys out there follow him, subscribe. I'm sure you're on YouTube. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Make sure you follow him and keep your eye on this guy. I promise you. I promise you, he will be back on again. We're going to bring him. We'll bring him back on for something, whether it's a wrestling talk or.
Man, can do that. And you know what? If you let me know in enough time, I'll get my cousin over here that wrestled with everybody too, and you can interview him, man.
Okay, we'll have to come up with some kind of discussion, because we do a lot of top 10 lists up here. We'll have to do some top 10 wrestlers or something like that from back in the day, because you're like an old school guy like me, because this stuff today is all right, but it doesn't beat anything like back then.
No, man, I'm a big Stone Cold guy. That's in the 90s when I was coming up, I was a big Stone Cold Steve Austin fan, and Ric Flair, of course, and like that.
But I'll tell you this, I went to a show, me and a buddy, we went to the Richmond Coliseum, Richmond, Virginia. This was in 1991, I think, summer 91. And two guys were there that went on, they weren't known by the name they got more famous for, but they were there that night. Brian Armstrong. It was just plain Brian Armstrong, which went on to be the Road Dogg.
Yep.
And then there was a guy there, long blonde ponytail in a big robe, stunning Steve Austin.
Yep, stunning Steve.
I was like, and I liked him back then, but nothing like Stone Cold.
Oh no, he changed. Honestly, he changed the game, buddy.
Yes, and it you watched. I can remember going to my cousin's house on Monday nights, and we flipped back and forth. But if Stone Cold, you heard the shattered glass come on, you sat there watch that whole interview just to see what that guy was going to say.
There was no telling.
But
yeah, man.
Was there anything new on the horizon for you that we look for?
We got some new songs in our back pocket we hadn't released yet. There's a couple cool things. I mean, I can talk about it. Don't
get yourself in trouble like Flint, like I had to tell Flint last night.
So Flint about the song with him and Wade. Yeah. That's man, I'm telling you, dude, that's gonna be a powerful tune.
Good. I can't wait to hear it.
But man, I've got about 4 or 5 songs recorded that we are getting ready to look at doing something with down the road. So I've got enough music recorded that we could do, singles for, because really albums ain't really doing anything right now. People are releasing singles. So I've got enough stuff in my back pocket to make it another year and a half on singles. So we're definitely not hurting.
All right. Well, whenever you got something to push, let me know about it. I'm sure Nicole will. I'll be glad to bring you back on. We'll talk about some more.
Hey, man, and I want to tell everybody too, man, Brickshore Media, they do a great job. Nicole.
Oh, gosh. Let me tell you, Nicole has been so kind and so gracious to me.
Yeah.
Look out for me. And whenever, like, when I reached out on a whim, because I was like, I've done this podcast for like 3 years. Right. And I was like, I want to start doing more interviews. And, I started looking up, booking agents, publicists and all that, and come across her. I sent her email, and she was pretty quick to answer. And she said, I got 4. We started out with 4, and I had such a good time. I was like, we started getting to the last one. I was like, I said, I messaged her. I said, look, this is getting ready to be the last one. I said, we need to talk. I need to get some more. So, and she has started putting them on me. So yeah. Right. Great lady, and I've had nothing but good things to say about her.
But Nicole with Brickshore, and then you got Rachel Albertson that she handles all the social media for private label artists that we work with, me, Wade, and Flint, and she does a great job. Randy Smith, the president of private label, he does an amazing job with everything we do, man. And also, if you go to privatelabelartist.com, that's where you can actually download Ain't That Just Like Jesus from that site, and it goes to the famous.
Okay. You guys remember privatelabelartist.com? Is that where it is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you guys go there and download it. Like I said, the proceeds go to a great charity.
So,
okay. All right. So that's going to do it, guys. Michael, thank you so much for coming on, buddy. It has been a pleasure. I've had a blast.
Me too.
And we will definitely have you back on again. I mean, I promise you that. If you're willing, I would definitely have you back on again.
Hey, we'll talk about music. And if you want to do a top 10 wrestling thing, man, I will, dude. I'll get my cousin. I mean, because he's still in with some of the guys. And like he wrestled Road Dogg for a little while. And
okay.
You know, he's done a lot with a lot of people too, man. He would be somebody, and he's a musician.
He'd be best of both worlds.
He's a big 90s rock guy, or 80s rock. He's a big Poison guy. Brett Michaels.
Oh gosh. See, now I'll tell you this. Now I've changed my way of thinking from back then. Now in the 80s, as a teenager, I was like, I'm nothing but 80s rock. I'm the Poison guy. I'm a diehard Kiss fan.
Yeah.
I was nothing but that. And country music, I was like, no, I ain't listening to that. You turn the radio station. A lot of you kids don't know what a radio station, but turn the radio station, you go right by that country station real quick. But all that changed when Garth Brooks came out with No Fences.
Oh yeah.
And I just went, I was like, okay. And it changed, but my thinking is now, people that get like, well, if you listen to this, you can't listen to that. Good music is good music. It don't matter what kind it is.
Yes, sir.
And I'm the kind that just likes good music. And and I love coming across new stuff like your stuff. Like I said, sat there last night and I didn't do it. I turned the TV down. I just sat there with my headphones on listening to that. And that's all I did. And I love doing it. It's therapy. I can't imagine a day without music because music is like therapy for you.
I couldn't imagine it either, man.
But yeah, we'll definitely bring him on. We'll have a little discussion because I could talk some 80s rock now. I could talk a little bit. The worst thing in the world to happen to that. Now, don't get me started on grunge because that killed my 80s rock.
Right.
But
like my such a big Poison fan, Brett Michaels. My cousin's wrestling name was Dynamite Dave Michaels because of Brett Michaels.
Oh,
that's how. I mean, he was the man, son. So, but yeah, it's but music, man, it heals the soul, brother.
It does. It does, definitely. I believe that to this. I can't imagine not being able to listen to music. Anyway. That's going to do it for tonight, guys. Mr. Michael Lee, thank you so much, guys.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And make sure you check out, Ain't That Just Like Jesus? Check out Michael Lee on all your social media, michaelleetunes.com. And make sure you give him a follow and a subscribe to his YouTube channel, guys. Michael, been a pleasure, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next time on The Fly.
See you guys.